Well, hello, EKN Nation. Welcome to a new edition of the EKN Debrief. It's our podcast we use to race report an event that we just attended, the one we're talking about this particular show, the USPKS finale, the Carolina Grand Prix from GoPro Motorplex in Mooresville, North Carolina. It's episode 86 of the Debrief, Wednesday, October the 20th. My name's Rob Howden, joined by David Cole, who was trackside all weekend. He'll do the heavy lifting today. Before we get into the meat of it, let's introduce the presenting sponsor for today, Team TKG. Trinity Karting Group is your first step on the ladder to racing success. Based at the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati, they literally have a track in their backyard and a controlled environment to develop your skills. Trinity Karting Group flattens out the steep learning curve with a professional staff that will put you on the right path. The focus is driver development, and they compete at the regional, local, and national levels, including the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour and United States Pro Kart Series. They have new and used packages available, and they are your Midwest source for Kart Republic chassis and IAME engines. Visit them at teamtkg.com or call 513-421-4463. Again, Trinity Karting Group, our presenting sponsor of this edition of the Debrief. David Cole, we're talking USPKS, the finale, another massive event down at GoPro Motorplex. The event held October 15th, 16th, and 17th this past weekend, capping off an 8-round series, yet another trip down to GoPro.
Ninth time to GoPro in the 9-year history. So every year, the United States Pro Kart Series has been around. It has visited the GoPro Motorplex. Actually was the inaugural event when it was the Mooresville Motorplex, as we talked about in the outlap. GoPro has kind of been the unofficial home of the series with it, and being there all 9 years of its history. So it's kind of fitting to end there. It ended there last year in 2020, and then also this year as the finale. Last year was kind of due to the COVID. We had to kind of scramble the schedule around a little bit, and then they kept it as the finale this year. So, and then as you said, it's been a record-breaking season for the GoPro Motorplex, or for the United States Pro Kart Series.
Yeah, exactly. The USPKS, GoPro as well. Let's be real. That track is hopping. Interesting thing, David. Of course, I was back home following the action, watching your 1-minute flat videos to start each day, seeing all the social media. Seems like you almost couldn't have had much better weather. I know a little cooler on Sunday morning, but it looks like the weather was fantastic for you guys.
Oh, perfect conditions all weekend long. Friday it just felt like it was summertime. Felt nice. Like we were there in July without the humidity. Very warm. It was unseasonably warm, really, because it is October, and it felt like we were there in July. Saturday, it was a little bit cooler, more into the 70s, so it was comfortable all day long. We had a cold start, though, on Sunday. Had a bit of a cold front move in, and even though the skies were clear, bright sunshine, it was actually colder when we got to the track than it was here in Michigan.
Wow.
So it was a unique start. Certainly, everybody had to warm up the engines a little bit more, and I think overnight a lot of people made sure engines were off and kept warm overnight so they wouldn't freeze, because we're talking 44 degrees Sunday morning at 8 a.m. So it got pretty chilly, but aside from that, it warmed right up when with the sun being out and clear skies, and really just perfect conditions. No rain, because it's very rare that you don't have rain at GoPro Motorplex for a big event. And we got through it without any type of rain. Maybe I think there might've been one little sprinkle we thought it was going to rain, and it didn't. So got lucky there.
Dave, you mentioned that there's been just great numbers throughout the season. This event ends up being the third largest event in the history of the United States Pro Kart Series. And I think even more telling, all 4 of the events in 2021 above the 250 entry mark, which I think is absolutely amazing. 223 entries last year for the event at GoPro Motorplex for the USPKS. 267 entries, highlighted by big numbers in X30 Pro at 48. Of course, KA has been super strong, 45 in junior and 51 in the senior. Even the juniors, David, up 14 entries from last year, 31 last year, 45 this year. Overall, I think everybody's got to be really, really pleased with the numbers.
Yeah, just to kind of look at the numbers overall, our biggest event was last year, 2020 at GoPro, and it was 223 entries. And, we surpassed that with the 290 that we had in Ocala. So yeah, just to average above what your maximum number of entries was previously is
That's
just
it.
Unheard of. It truly is. It's something we saw with Challenging the Americas, where the numbers have continued to grow here, there, and now on the East Coast. We are just seeing phenomenal numbers with the USPKS.
And I think you look at the numbers, right? The ones I kind of spouted out there. Core categories, the X30 Pro class. That's the Spotlight Pro class than the USPKS. 48 drivers. That's awesome to see everybody jumping on board there. We know that the KA100 program has really picked up tons of momentum, tons of support, coast to coast, to be real. 45 in junior, 51 in senior. But we always look at that micro and mini, David. Again, 32 drivers in micro Swift and 38 drivers in mini Swift, both significant increases from last year. Upwards of 15, 20, 30% increase. That bodes well for the series as well. You've got a lot of youth that is supporting the program. Things are going to grow into the junior categories for 2022.
Yeah, that was one of the real highlights, was the mini and micro numbers that we had throughout the season. Here's a little good stat for you. The only class that was below 20 entries was X30 Masters for this weekend at 18. All the other categories were above 20 all throughout the season.
Wow. Okay. That is good. Well, listen, it's a lot of momentum going into the program. Speaks volumes to what Mark Coates has put together at the USPKS, the staff that they have, everything they've done, the consistency of their program. And David, you from the very get-go, what'd you say? They've been going back to GoPro for 9 straight years. It's, people like some new tracks every once in a while, but they also like a bit of consistency, and they like to have the date equity as well. I think people knowing where they're going to be, GoPro is just one of those really good places to anchor a series.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit at our paddock pass, because there could be some changes about.
Which is what I like. We'll get into that in a couple. We'll get into that, folks. Stay with us. We're just getting started in this episode of the Debrief. David Cole taking a deep dive into the event, the finale of the USPKS in Mooresville, North Carolina. Stay with us. When we get back, the aforementioned paddock pass up on the docket. Acceleration Kart Racing is your first and only stop on the internet for karts, parts, and the safety gear you need to get you on the track. Visit shopakr.com for a great selection of karting equipment on a user-friendly website. Acceleration Kart Racing has aligned itself with many of the top manufacturers and distributors in the sport to ensure all the latest equipment is available to you, the racer. With over 20 years in business and customer support available 6 days a week, you can be confident about getting the right parts at the right price when you need them. Be sure to visit shopakr.com today or stop by their headquarters in Las Vegas. Make sure to follow Acceleration Kart Racing on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest specials and new arrivals. In racing, experience is priceless. Franklin Motorsports is a leader in the karting industry with over 50 years of combined karting experience, and we can provide you with everything you need to go racing. With a large online product selection, select track support events, and a wide variety of shop services, Franklin Motorsports is your complete karting source. Check out our online store at www.franklinkart.com, where all our products are just a mouse click away. We're constantly adding to the growing product selection on the online store, and we ship daily to ensure products get to you quickly. We specialize in IAME engines, tilt seats, ceramic products, driveline branded products, Briggs & Stratton engines, OTK products, and of course, the championship-winning Merlin chassis. In our online store, you'll find a variety of items to fill your karting needs. Franklin Motorsports is also known for our wide variety of services and is home to Innovative Engine Works by FMS, our in-house engine service department. Frame straightening, kart prep, and dyno testing are all services offered regularly at Franklin Motorsports. For all things karting, visit franklinkart.com. Winning takes top quality equipment, flawless preparation, experienced coaching, and passion. And at Team GFC, we live our passion. Developed by American karting champion Gary Carlton, the GFC chassis has become one of the newest brands to reach the top of the podium in North America. GFC has garnered victories and championships at all levels of the sport since its debut at the end of 2018. Shifter kart drivers are at the front of the field running the GFC GT14 frame, and the SS31 has become a solid contender in tag and 100cc competition. Team GFC has arrive and drive packages available for all categories, including the mini and micro classes, utilizing the GFC RR5 cadet chassis. These young pilots have the opportunity to be part of the Team GFC Young Driver Development Program. Learn from one of the best American karters with over 25 years of racing at the highest levels of the sport, offering personalized training on and off the track. Follow GFC Karting on Facebook and Instagram, or click over to gfckarting.com to learn more about joining Team GFC in 2021. GFC, live your passion. Welcome back to a new edition of the EKN Debrief, our race report podcast. And the focus today, the United States Pro Kart Series finale, the Carolina Grand Prix in Mooresville, North Carolina. Jumping now into the Paddock Pass presented by Parolin USA. It all started in 1994 when former kart driver Albino Parolin decided to move his passion for karting from the racetrack to his small workshop. That's when Parolin was born. Parolin USA is North America's source for Parolin products, and they run a factory team at all the major Superkarts USA, USPKS, and Rock Cup USA events. The Parolin chassis lineup for 2021 includes the Invader Shifter, the Le Mans Tag single-speed chassis for junior and senior drivers, the 28mm Opportunity model for the cadet classes, and the brand-new Daytona 4-cycle chassis. Get on the chassis that's winning. Drive a Parolin. For more information, head to ParolinUSA.com. All right, David, you kind of teased a bit about schedules. You can talk about that in a little bit, but I think first and foremost, all the spotlight kind of shining on GoPro, not only because it was the USPKS finale, championships on the line, but dude, we have three heavy hitter, big name professional race car drivers coming out to race go-karts against some of the best drivers in the country. This was super cool. I'll let you kind of take it from there.
Yeah, it was a rumor we heard. Well, obviously, we had confirmation that IndyCar's Will Power and Joseph Newgarden were going to be there throughout the weekend prior to, we talked about it in our outlap. Yep. They were running with MPG Motorsports aboard the Will Power Kart. So Will Power driving the Will Power Kart is certainly a unique opportunity to take in. But really the stunner was the announcement of Kyle Larson, NASCAR point leader, multi-time race winner, on hand and competing in his first ever kart race. Now, mind you, Larson had been in karts before at GoPro, taking some sessions here and there, but not a full amount of time. Nothing compared to, say, Will Power or Joseph Newgarden, especially Newgarden, who we've seen grow up in the sport of karting and make his way up into the IndyCar ranks. But Larson just loves racing, and it was great to kind of speak to him for about 5 minutes and kind of get his take on things. When Friday was going on, he was there Thursday for unofficial practice, there on Friday for official practice, and he decided it was still an option of not racing or not, and he decided to race on Saturday and compete against the 48 drivers in X30 Pro.
Yeah, it's just, for me, it's you look at what he did, all the racing he did, the dirt racing, and he still does, right? Plus the stuff he does in Cup, leading the points, like you said. Just such an all-around amazing driver, and probably really one of the best all-around drivers in North America, if not the world right now, driving so many different kinds of racing. I think it's fantastic. But to come out there and throw himself into the wolves, to be honest, right? The level of competition at the USPKS is ridiculous, and fill us in for those who maybe didn't watch live time. And how did he fare on Saturday? It looked to me like he was running pretty quickly.
Well, when you look at lap times, I mean, he was very competitive. Qualifying, was able to qualify 18th overall, one spot behind Will Power. Now, you're talking, drivers like Paul Bocuse, Dante Yu, Thomas Annunziata, Finnegan, Bailiff, all were slower than Kyle Larson,
Wow.
even though they've been in the cart all season long. So that just made things more impressive. And that was kind of one of the key aspects. And what you saw on some social media stuff was, how awesome it is. And to see him just jump in a cart, never. And again, he never raced karts as a kid. He did dirt oval outlaw karts, which, is not exactly a sprinting kart. It's a different type of way of driving. And that's one thing that he was very adamant about is learning how to adjust the way to drive this compared to anything else that he's driven before. And then you go, out
and you win at Texas on Sunday.
Yeah. So again, he started, 18th, got into a little bit of, contact, I believe in the pre-final. I'm double checking that. Yeah. So he got shuffled back, into the blender a little bit when you're starting there. And then again, in the final, a little bit of contact sent him off the track as well too. But, ended up finishing, in the 24th spot. But when you look at his pace, he had the same pace, at least race pace, that Will Power had going on. And we know Will Power has lots and lots of laps at GoPro Motorplex.
Yeah, and then Power goes on to finish top 10 on Sunday. So it shows you what Larson could do if he came out and ran a full weekend.
Yeah, and Power was also involved in contact on Saturday, so ended up finishing in 19th. But Sunday was just a phenomenal performance by him. To finish 6th, was in the hunt to be there all race long. Guys were putting some bumper to him a little bit here and there, but he certainly had a good pace all day Sunday. Beating out, drivers like Jarzakrak and AJ Myers and a number of other notables. So, really good performance. And again, he's Masters.
He's Masters. That's what I was holding on to that. This guy runs Masters. This is amazing.
Yeah. So to see, that's like the old day Billy Cleveland, racing senior, or like a Phil Giebler did it, or like, Ron White in the shifter categories racing senior. It's kind of that same performance. So, he's a Masters age guy. So that certainly shows, they had the right setup going. They had the engine working perfectly. Great performance by him.
What about Joseph Newgarden? Did he have a good time at least? What was his results like?
Yeah, Joseph, again, he's not the Joseph Newgarden we saw in karting. He's a lot bigger, a lot stronger.
Tall. Yeah.
He's actually gotten taller since he's been in karting.
Oh, yeah.
It's since 2015, this was his first race in a kart.
Wow.
So to go 6 years without racing, it takes more than one day to get back into it. And unfortunately, he wasn't there Thursday due to some testing. So he only had the 5 sessions on Friday to really get acclimated back into a karting mindset, because again, it's completely different than driving an IndyCar. So, overall, I think he did very well, for, again, 6 years out of the seat. It's not like he was bad, but he was coming to grips with it.
Well, here's what I want to add. And you mentioned this, he's so much bigger than he used to be. And now, I've got a chance to interview Joseph since he was a kid up to, running IndyCar. And you look, Kyle Larson is a stereotypical karting build. Right, he's not tall. He's pretty short, pretty compact. Fits nicely into the cart. Joseph's what? He's got to be at least 6 feet tall, and his upper body's massive. It's just it probably doesn't lend itself.
I would put him at 6'1", 6'2".
Yeah.
Like
okay, he's 6 feet, right?
I'm 6 foot, and he's above me.
That's not easy, man. Yeah.
I kind of compared his upper body to like a Danny Formal.
Yeah, he's a big kid.
He's got a lot of that upper build. But even, I think his whole body is an athlete. He's an athlete now. He's not necessarily a kart built person anymore.
100%.
Like you said, where Kyle Larson, like you could put him in anything. He's got that Italian size, where they make these karts for.
That's right.
That short, not short, but the 5'8", type built. And so it's easier for Kyle to kind of jump into anything and go.
Yeah.
To see Joseph Newgarden in a midget or sprint car, that'd be pretty wild too, because he'd have to scrunch in there, or
Right,
they'd have to cut out the floorboard somehow.
Well, we'll put a cap on that. Just an awesome deal to see Larson Power and Newgarden down at that event, and I think that's big. Obviously, it shined a lot of spotlight on the sport of karting over the weekend, which I think was super exciting.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll see a couple drivers at Supernats.
Yeah,
obviously Will Power's going to be there.
Yeah.
Newgarden kind of winked at it, like, yeah, I don't. After his performance, I think he'd have to get a little bit more seat time. And talking with Jamie McMurray, obviously he was there with his son. He loves the idea of these guys getting into the karts, and he'd hopefully, I said, hey, you should even come back. He laughed at that. It was like, no.
That's funny. It was good. Listen, those were the first year of the Superkarts USA Pro Tour. Both with Jamie McMurray and AJ Allmendinger were full time on that series. That was a lot of fun to have those guys there. That was cool. David, we obviously teased before the first break here on this edition of the Debrief about the change of schedule a little bit to a certain extent, new venue, because there has been some venues that the USPKS has kind of went to on a regular basis, maybe some different dates, but same venues. I guess, news coming out at the event for the 2022 opening round.
Yeah, United States Pro Kart Series announced their 2022 schedule. 4 dates were listed with only 2 locations. That were the final 2 locations, Road America, July 8th through the 10th, and the finale moving to Newcastle Motorsports Park on September 16th through the 18th. So that left the opening 2 events with unknown locations. Well, Friday during the drivers' meeting, they made the announcement that Orlando Kart Center was going to be the site of the 2022 opener, set for March 4th through the 6th weekend. So this is a new venue for the United States Pro Kart Series. They mentioned that they wanted to stay in Florida, obviously with Ocala Grand Prix now being dismantled and no longer there. That took that option out. So there was a lot of talk on where they would go and what was going to happen. Orlando Kart Center is going to be the location. It's a very unique move because there's some talk about is the facility going to be able to fit this amount of teams and competitors there. We saw this past week in GoPro Motorplex, they could barely fit all the competitors, 260 competitors that we had there in that paddock area. So that's going to be kind of the not the highlight, but the focal point of before getting there is what's going to be done in order for the facility to be ready to welcome this amount of racers.
Crazy. All right, let's talk about the weekend itself before we jump into the actual race report. We always kind of touch in terms of the quality of the racing. Give me your thoughts on how things were race-wise for a finale weekend.
Well, the United States Pro Kart Series has been pretty good at having no red flags. Unfortunately, this past weekend we had multiple, none on Sunday, but multiple red flags on Saturday. Seems to be there was a lot of aggression out there.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the racetrack itself though, because there's very little room for mistakes and a lot of opportunities to kind of take advantage. So I almost think it's kind of a combination of both. I don't necessarily think the drivers were over driving. I mean, some instances probably so, but that it's almost kind of like a bull ring. It really is, because there's only certain areas in the racetrack that you can pass. Going down the back straightaway, possibly going through after the S's, going down to the hairpin, and in the final corner. Those are really your only clean opportunities to make passes. So you're talking, 3 to 4 spots. Other spots on the racetrack, you can get it done, but it does require a little bit of aggression. So that's something we saw. But we had large fields, and again, it's kind of that last race mentality as well too. A lot of people are just kind of, letting everything late, again, the term of sending it.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we saw a little bit. So it's not something we want to see, but it is part of racing. And unfortunately, sometimes, wrecks happen and there's nowhere to go. So you get some massive pileups that we did have Saturday during the opening main event. So thankfully, I think most everybody walked away unhurt. Some bumps and bruises here and there, But other than that, I think everybody was okay leaving.
That's good news.
Raceway.
That's good news. One of the things about the racetrack, David, here at GoPro is there's lots of opportunity to drive off track. And I know you and I have mentioned this before. We've talked about it. There's some. It's almost like some parts of GoPro. Does there need to be a discussion on track limits? You had mentioned that to me when we talked about it throughout the weekend.
Yeah, every time we go there now, it's just because it's a rental kart facility that is also a racetrack, and they have those extra paved areas for the rental karts to go off, so they're not tearing up grass or tearing up the karts. That they're going off into extra cement that's on the outside of the rumble strips. Or in this case, the turn 1, turn 2 combination where it's all cement and they just have barriers.
Yeah.
It's just, they have these barriers to kind of mark off, hey, don't go past this point. But really all it was just causing chaos. And it was a little bit of annoyance because a lot of times a driver would just push another driver into that barrier. So it would knock that barrier out of the way and knock that driver out of the way. So it's almost like, why do we even have those barriers there? If you have the pavement there, let's just use it. It really didn't make sense, but they do need to look at that turn 2 section. I really do, because essentially you're jumping over a curb and then jumping off the curb. And it's really now just a straight line. They don't even use that turn left section any further. So if you saw on the videos of all the starts that we did, you were essentially, and you look at a lot of the onboards on online now, it's basically a 90-degree corner now, and they just drive over the curbing, and that's that. So they should my opinion, they should either reconfigure that section of the racetrack or put some type of maybe possibly AstroTurf, some type of, fake grass in there to help alleviate drivers from driving straight through that section.
Yeah, I hear you saying.
The barriers didn't do it because again, drivers would just run people into the barrier and then they would knock the barrier out of the way. And then, so the rest of the race, they would have a clean shot through that section.
All right. Yeah. All right.
It's hard to make a permanent circuit feel like a temporary circuit, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get it completely. Yeah. I'm sure the track designed after the famous Italian track, right? Was it Sarno? No,
which one is Parma.
Parma. I'm sure there was gravel there in Parma. There's no way that was paved all the way around. There was probably gravel, right?
That was the other something we talked about. Maybe we just needed to put some, kitty litter. The big dirt piles like you have at the end of the straightaway at Mid Ohio or Road America, like actual big car course. Let's maybe put some kitty litter there, but I don't know. Something it doesn't feel right, if you know what I mean.
Well, they've laid a racetrack out for a reason. It's turn 1 and turn 2. If they don't use the corners, why do you even bother? Just make it a 90-degree corner and get it over with, right?
That's kind of been my thought, especially over the weekend, because it just standing in that section, why are we jumping a curb? When it's you're supposed to be making the turn.
Yeah, I hear you, Sam. All right, some good information there from David in our edition of the Paddock Pass. This edition brought to you by Parolin USA. When we get back, time to jump into the race reports. We're going to get things started with X30 Pro. We'll also do X30 Junior. That'll be the first start for the race report on this edition of the Debrief. Stay tuned. More to come here on the EKN Radio Network. Leading Edge Motorsports is the industry answer to winning in karting. At the helm is industry veteran Greg Bell, who has orchestrated the success of many drivers dating back to the mid-1990s. Based in Lodi, California, Leading Edge Motorsports is the Western importer with IP karting that includes the Praga and Formula K chassis brands. Leading Edge Motorsports provides in-depth driver development for those racers in Northern California and across the country. Arrive and drive services, kart preparation, and driver coaching are available under the LEM tent throughout the season. Bell's record of working with drivers includes recent victories at North America's biggest karting events, including the Rock the Rio and the SCUSA Super Nationals. Greg Bell's knowledge for building engines spans 2 decades and is now under the Mega Power branding, providing a reliable engine service and tuning knowledge. No matter the chassis brand, choose Mega Power to get to the front. Click over to leadingedgemotorsports.com for more and find them on social media to stay connected. At Leading Edge Motorsports, winning never gets old. Feel like you're racing alongside the many legends that have called CRG home. With direct factory support, the CRG Nordam operation is the North American distributor for all CRG products related to karting and is based just outside Houston, Texas. The complete racing chassis line, including the famous Road Rebel shifter kart, is available through CRG Nordam. The growing FS4 Briggs & Stratton Focus chassis is expanding worldwide, including right here in North America. Many tracks, indoor and outdoor, have made the switch to the Centurion rental kart line through CRG. New for the 2020 season is the Mini Hero for cadet racing, homologated for FIA competitions around the world. Head over to kartcrg.com or find them on all social media networks. Looking for that extra edge? Comet Racing Engines is your answer. The engine service program from Comet Kart Sales has been winning from coast to coast at all levels and different forms of the sport. Lead engine builders Mark Harrison and Gary Lawson have decades of karting experience, providing racers the power to reach the top step of the podium. Comet Racing Engines continually perform track and dyno tests to provide their customers with the cutting edge in engine performance. Comet specializes in Yamaha KT100, IAME Swift, IAME X30, IAME Leopard, and Rock engines. Trackside and customer support are the cornerstones of the Comet Racing Engines business, ensuring each and every customer receives personal attention and the help they need to achieve the best results. Engine rentals are available at all the events that Comet attends in 2018, including WKA, SCUSA, USPKS, and the Route 66 Sprint Series. Contact the Comet team today at cometkartsales.com or by calling 317-462-3413. If you're looking to step up your engine program, send it to Comet Racing Engines. Welcome back to a new edition of the EKN Debrief. My name is Rob Howden, joined by David Cole as we take a deep dive into the United States Pro Kart Series finale, the Carolina Grand Prix at Mooresville, North Carolina. The event being held on the October the 15th, 16th, and 17th. Already worked our way through the paddock pass. Time to jump now into the race report when we dive into the actual events that happened throughout the weekend. This edition of the race report brought to you by Acceleration Kart Racing. Acceleration Kart Racing has everything you need to go racing, from tires to helmets. They have a great website for you to order from and kart racers ready to pick up the phone and answer your questions 6 days a week. With over 20 years of kart racing under their belts, Acceleration Kart Racing has the experience to help you succeed on the track. You can rely on them to get you the parts you need when you need them. Make Acceleration Kart Racing your go-to source for everything karting. Head to www.shop.akr.com. That's shopakr.com. All right, David, let's jump into the X30 Pro category. I'll throw the headline out. You fill in the information. Here's the headline for X30 Pro. Jones and Greenemeier bag first series victories as Norberg locks title.
Well, Hayden Jones actually made the move to Rollison Performance Group prior to the weekend, so he made his RPG Cosmic debut on the weekend at his home racetrack at GoPro Motorplex. Came out as the top driver on Saturday. It was Paulie Massimino, though, that set fast time in qualifying, and then Ryan Norberg winning the pre-final, but a two-position pushback bumper penalty gave Jones the actual victory in the pre-final. That's what he needed in order to establish himself as a top driver in the main event, as after shuffling early on, including championship contender Connor Zillage, who made contact with one of those turn 6 barriers that are supposed to keep the karts on the racetrack itself, took him out of the race. Later on, Jones established himself as the race leader, leading a RPG 1-2-3 finish with Jones, Norberg, and Greenemeier finishing 1-2-3. Paulie Massimino was in the hunt as well, along with Nate Cicero. Unfortunately, they retired out of the top 5 with mechanical issues that allowed Brandon Jarzakrak to move up to 4th, with Alessandro Dutillo aboard the Parolin in 5th.
Wow. Hard Charger, 29 spot improvement. Noah Harmon on a Tony Kart. David started 39th, drove his way all the way up to 10th.
Yeah, a lot of attrition on Saturday's main event. So that part of that 29 spots you can attribute to the attrition that was felt throughout Saturday.
I'm sure you talked to him afterwards, but I got to think Hayden Jones feeling pretty good about that. A big victory at his home track, making the move to Rawlson. Got to be happy with that for sure.
Yeah, it was a very happy Rawlson 10, including Jones getting that first series victory, moving over to the race team. Also locking up the championship was Ryan Norberg on Saturday, earning enough points with the Connor Zillage DNF in order to secure the title. So kind of opened things up Sunday for everybody to kind of just focus on the race at hand.
Looks like the Rawlson crew didn't let up on Sunday, David. I know Ryan Norberg qualifying on the pole, of course, already got that championship locked and loaded. And then Jones coming back again in the pre-finals to get another victory. Seems like Jones was spending a lot of time up front.
Yeah, again, home racetrack racing with Rawlson Performance Group had, a good combination of, all the right mojo. Unfortunately, in the main event, the mojo kind of went away, was able to get into the lead during the second half of the race and making that turn 2 jump over the curb. Chain decided to let go and remove itself from his cart while leading the race. So
remove itself.
It did. It removed itself from the drive sprockets and unfortunately retired with a few laps remaining. That allowed Hannah Greenmeyer to take over the victory or take over the lead as she was able to hold off Norberg and Massimino in the closing laps. Massimino was actually on the attack on Norberg, which kind of opened up the gap for Greenmeyer to be able to cross the line for her first series victory in the X30 Pro category. Massimino able to get by Norberg there before the finish line. Alessandro Di Tullo able to move up to 4th this time with Brandon Tyner putting 3 RPG drivers into the top 5.
So David, Hard Charger, Santiago Benito on the Ren Speed, another driver making a bunch of moves up, started 46th, 26 spot improvement up to 20th.
Yeah, a number of positions for him. Again, big fields, lots of contact, and not as much attrition on Sunday, but still a good drive for him.
Let's look, as we always do, at the overall money. USPKS providing their cash for the overall weekend points. And Hannah Greenmeyer coming away with $5,000. Big payout for Hannah.
Yeah, the two podium finishes for her helped to put her on top and get the $5,000. Norberg, again, 2 podium finishes as well. Unfortunately, no victories for him, so that put him in the 2nd position. And then Alessandro Di Turlo with the 3rd spot. A really good weekend for the Paralympic USA driver. Certainly is kind of reestablished himself as a top contender in the X30 Pro division.
And I think we kind of have to take the time here right now to pay a little bit of respect to Ryan Norberg. Obviously, Brandon Jarzakrak's kind of been the guy at the USPKS winning championships, very similar to Norberg over in the SCUSA Pro Tour as he won so many championships there. But man, David, for Norberg to put another title, this time in USPKS, on his resume, just keeps padding that CV.
Yeah, 7 podium finishes out of the 8 rounds. The only race he didn't stand on the podium was the opening round in Ocala. So again, you're talking runner-ups, 3 victories. So he's got 3 victories, 2 runner-ups, and 3 runner-ups, 3 victories, and a 3rd place finish.
Man, 181-point lead, or a win rather, over Zillage in the championship. You talked about Zillage going out, but yeah, good for Ryan Norberg, and again for Rawlson Performance Group as well. Solid deal. And to be honest, let's be real. The Rawlson Performance Group program kind of rolling into X30 Junior. We'll talk a little bit about that. Let's jump into X30 Junior. The headline: Fletcher earns title in dramatic fashion.
Yeah, this category was pretty wild all weekend long. Really close racing up front, and really not really sure who was going to be able to come away with the victories all weekend long. Saturday, however, was one driver that was able to put himself at the top of the order, and that was new Rawlson Performance Group driver Caleb Gaffar. Caleb, another driver who calls GoPro Motorplex home, made the transition over to the RPG tent for the weekend. Came out strong, set fast time in qualifying, and was able to come away with the pre-final victory. But in the main event, it was a pretty hard battle for the top four, battling for the top position. Caleb able to secure the lead with 2 laps remaining, and able to hold on to the victory, while the championship contenders were in the hunt as well. Jeremy Fletcher among them, finishing up in the 2nd spot. Aiden Grada was on the charge late, actually crossed the line in the 3rd position, but suffered a 2-position penalty. That dropped him down to 5th and cost him some valuable points in the championship hunt. That allowed Max Garcia to stand up on the podium as the junior rookie continues to add to his rookie CV. And then Christian Miles ended up finishing in 4th.
Yeah, I had a chance to listen to those events, and man, it was just back and forth and back and forth. So much fun to listen to, and good for Caleb Gafaris, but spending a lot of time over in Europe, running with Jordan Lennox's team over there on the Burrell Art chassis, of course, coming back as well, and the
Academy Trophy as well,
and the Academy. Yeah, let's make sure we bring that up. It's a lot of European experience for Gafara, and I think that probably played well for him up front there. And what it sounded like, at least to me, you obviously watched it, but it sounded like to me like he was elbows up. There was a lot of aggressive racing. It felt like, at least of what Tim Coyne was saying.
Not necessarily. I wouldn't say I would say great racing. I
okay,
would
good.
say,
Well,
yeah.
I don't use aggressive.
Hard fought. I would say hard fought.
Well, I don't use aggressive with a negative term.
Yeah,
right?
I always I always look at the aggressive as negative. Sorry,
I go overly aggressive because I like aggressive, man. Aggressive's good, but it was fun to listen to. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it was like a heavyweight fight. You know, each of the drivers kept going back and forth and trying to up one another, and in the end, it ended up being Caleb that came out with the victory.
Yeah, good for Caleb. The hard charger on that one, Cameron Brakeman on a Cosmic, 21 spot improvement. David started 31st, able to work his way up into 14th.
35th to 14th. 35th, yeah, 21 spots. Again, Brinkman's just still trying to get acclimated to the X30 junior package. So that's a good confidence booster for him, working with Michael Geringer under the Mike Doty tent.
All right, let's move over to Sunday right now. Gafara, of course, now has that the success from Saturday's got some momentum and some confidence coming in. Michael Costello, though, on the Cosmic ends up going P1 in qualifying.
He was actually one of the quickest drivers on Saturday, even with a bent steering shaft. Wow. So they were able to straighten that out, and it certainly showed as he set fast time in qualifying. Unfortunately, was shuffled back a little bit there in the pre-final as Caleb was able to score the victory there. Going into the main event, it was again, championship time. Nothing was decided yet. It was still between Fletcher and Ingrata.
And I'm sure you had the spreadsheet rolling, right?
Oh,
so you knew where did he need to be to win.
So he needed to finish 4th or better in order to earn the title. That was based on Ingrata actually winning the main event. Yeah. So a lot of things were going to shake down. Both Fletcher, Ingrata, and Garcia were in the lead pack, so it was a 3-driver breakaway. So Fletcher was kind of in a good position. Unfortunately, none of them wanted to run in line, and they kept shuffling around for the lead. And their shuffling allowed the second group to close back in. So we had a pretty good big group there in the closing few laps. And with 2 laps to go, as they come through the double right-handers, turn 9 and turn 10, drivers went 3 wide on the exit as they were jostling back towards the last corner on the racetrack. So we ended up going 3 wide down into that short little chute. Ingrata actually came out with the lead as they took the white flag with Jeremy Fletcher right on his bumper. So we had the top 2 drivers in the championship running 1-2 right there. Fletcher made his move in the double right-hand corners, turn 9 and turn 10 on the final circuit, was able to hold on as he reached the checkered flag first to secure victory in the category and earn this series championship.
Yeah, go out and get it, right? And that was, again, another race I was able to listen to on the EKN radio network. And, man, Tim Coyne had things fired up. And I just hear
Xander. It was actually
Xander. It was Xander. That's right. Yes. But listen, and what you like as that race is playing out, the three guys are leading, right? And I'm like, okay, these guys are going to pull away. And then immediately as Xander starts talking about them battling, I'm like, here they come. Everybody else came back in. And that's what set things up. I don't know why people don't just get into line, David.
But with Fletcher, I don't know if he knew exactly what he needed to do.
Okay.
That's the only thing, I wasn't able to speak with him. He had to take off after the championship award ceremony. So I wasn't able to really get a chance to speak with him, but it just seemed like he just wanted to go out there and win it. Like you said, put it in his own hands and go out and win, but again, you have that, situation where if you record a DNF, you could lose the championship. Yeah. So, but he went out and won it and earned his second victory on the season and was able to secure the championship.
Yeah, good for him. And to win in style too, right? The exclamation point on the end of a fantastic season for Jeremy Fletcher ends up getting the victory. We'll jump into the money in a second. Let's wrap up with the hard charger. Adam Brickley, David, on a Kart Republic, 19th spot, started 30th, almost got his way into the top 10, finished in the 11th position.
Yeah, not quite sure. Wasn't able to speak with Brickley, but local driver. They certainly have the speed there. Just obviously had some issues in pre-final, but got up into nearly the top 10. I don't think we broke down the top 5. I'll do it real quick.
Do that, yeah.
Aiden Ingrata finishing up in second, so finishing right behind his championship contender. Caleb Gaffar in the third position, so 2 podiums on the weekend. Max Garcia just missing out in fourth, and Justin Ataconis in the 5th position.
So let's talk cash then. Obviously, Fletcher getting that second place on Saturday, the win on Sunday. He comes out with the big money. Gaffar gets some cash as well.
Yeah, $2,500 for Fletcher, $1,500 for Caleb, and then Aiden Ingrata with third place overall on the weekend with $750.
And as David said, Fletcher getting that victory, scoring that championship in the X30 junior category. Aiden Ingrata second overall in the standings. Max Garcia, that rookie driver, a tremendous freshman season, third overall in the points. Christian Miles in fourth, and Justin Ataconis in 5th. All right, another break in the action. We get back to the race report brought to you by Acceleration Kart Racing. We're going to talk KA100 Senior, KA100 Junior, and X30 Masters. More debrief here on the EKN Radio Network. Jenson Button, Jos Verstappen, and Roman Grosjean, all former Techno Kart drivers and champions. Get ready, America, for the Techno Kart invasion. Formed in the 1970s, the Italian manufacturer has new representation in the U.S., and they're already winning races and championships. Technokart USA is owned and operated by top national masters drivers Laurent Mardan and Christian Vomir, and they are focused on building the new Technokart dealer network. The Technokart line hits all the different engine platforms in American karting, beginning with the TR28 Special for 4-cycle racing. The TR30 is Techno's chassis for 100cc and 125cc tag competition, and we also have a TR Cadet and Kid Kart for the drivers coming into the younger age groups of the sport. In 2021, Technokart USA will be attending the Rock Cup Florida Winter Tour, the United States Pro Kart Series and Route 66 programs, the Rock the Rio and SCUSA Super Nationals in Las Vegas, and will continue to support our home track, the Badger Kart Club. Race-winning Arrive and Drive programs are available, and kart shops interested in adding a new quality chassis to their lineup should contact us today. Be sure to follow Technokart USA LLC on Facebook and Instagram. All over the karting world, everyone knows OTK is the gold standard for quality and performance. In the US, OTK USA is the source for all things OTK. From the legendary Tony Kart brand to the race-winning Cosmic and Esprit chassis, and now the new Red Speed and EOS brands, OTK quality is second to none. All 5 brands are winning races and championships across the country in national programs like the Rock Cup USA Florida Winter Tour and the Challenge of the Americas, the SCUSA Pro Tour and Winter Series, and the Pro Kart Challenge, the United States Pro Kart Series, and the WKA Manufacturers Cup. And OTK products are also front and center on the podium of club and regional races from coast to coast. To learn more about a specific product line, you can find the OTK USA dealer near you, whether it's Tony Kart, Cosmic, Prix, Red Speed, or EOS. Visit www.otkusa.com. Specific chassis territories are still available, so kart shops interested in adding a winning component to their product lineups can contact OTK USA directly. The Briggs & Stratton 206 engine is where out-of-the-box ease and outstanding consistency meet to create legendary races. Briggs & Stratton's history of motorsports dates back to when the first engines came off the assembly line in the early 1900s. Their focus on the grassroots level continues to help build generations of racers. Since 2008, the Briggs & Stratton 206 has gained a following that has the engine powering the largest fields in North American karting today. From the club level track programs to traveling regional series and national events, Briggs & Stratton competition provides the most exciting racing in the sport. Engineered and hand-built exclusively for racing, every Briggs & Stratton 206 engine is power tested and serialized before it goes in the box. Karters can take that engine straight from the box to their kart and be on the podium at the end of race day. Be sure to follow Briggs & Stratton Racing on Facebook and through @RaceBriggs on Instagram. To learn more about the 206 engine or to find the North American dealer near you, head to BriggsRacing.com. Briggs & Stratton Racing, what powers you? Welcome back to the EKN Debrief, episode number 86. It is October the 20th, 2021, and David, of course, back in the office after spending the weekend down at Mooresville, North Carolina for the final rounds of the United States Pro Kart Series. That's what we're talking about here today. David, let's go into KA100 Senior, huge field in this particular category. And here's your headline. Massimino doubles up as Zilich grabs first senior title. Lots in there.
A lot to cover in the K100 senior division, as it was the largest category, actually having two different pre-finals, splitting up the field into odd pre-final and an even pre-final. As you said, Massimino doubled up. Well, Massimino set the fast time in qualifying on Saturday and was able to win the odd pre-final, while another GoPro regular, Tyler Wettengel, on the Kart Republic with Trinity Karting Group, won the even pre-final. So they were essentially the top two drivers going into the main event. Or a little bit of drama as we were in the pre-finals with championship leader Connor Zillage involved in contact and was actually recorded a DNF. So thus, with the two different pre-finals and an LCQ, he was put into the last chance qualifier on Saturday. Fortunately, able to come away with the victory. So he ended up starting 41st on the main event. So we'll get to his finish in a little bit. Up front, it was Massimino, though, that controlled most of the final, as he was able to kind of set pace along with Tyler Wettengel and Brandon Lemke, defending champion of the class. Lemke was able to grab the lead as they were coming to the white flag, but Massimino returned the favor on the last lap and was able to secure the victory by the checkered flag. Wettengel was able to slip by Lemke there in the final few corners and able to steal the second position, while Connor Ferris in the Kart Republic for Team Ferris Racing ended up in fourth, and Aiden Levy aboard the Tony Kart in the fifth position.
So, David, I have to figure your head would have been swiveling throughout this race, because you got two kind of stories to follow, right? You got this lead battle fighting for the race win, and then you've got Connor Zillich coming from the tail of the field. As you said, having won the last chance qualifier, he ends up starting 41st. He is the hard charger. 35 spot improvement, ends up in sixth position to secure the provisional championship. You must have been following him coming through. I know what you do with the spreadsheet, and you were updating that spreadsheet on all the passes. Man, that must have been a drive for Connor coming from the tail of the field.
Yeah, it was a championship winning performance because of the position that he ended up and where Lemke was. Actually secured the provisional championship for Connor Zillage on Saturday afternoon. So, Zillage was putting down the same lap times that the leaders were putting down. So you knew he wasn't going to quite get up to where the leaders were, but was able to get into that sixth position, which essentially locked up the championship for him.
And as you said in the title, David, his first senior championship as well.
Yes, again, started out his senior year this winter. We kind of highlighted it throughout the season.
Yeah,
had an opportunity to be in the hunt in the SCUSA Pro Tour Championship. Unfortunately, that came up short. Was involved in the X30 Junior or X30 Pro category or championship at USBKS. Unfortunately, contact on Saturday took that away from him. But this one he was able to secure early on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, good for him. Again, that's Zilic, of course, winning that championship title. But as David said in the headline, Paulie Massimino, what a weekend for him in this category. And David really, again, went out and just dominated. I don't say dominated the sheets. Top of the charts in qualifying. Won his pre-final. Wins the main event. You give us the information from there.
Yeah, it was a perfect score.
Nice.
Saturday had a good perfect score. Sunday, another perfect score, setting fast time qualifying, winning his pre-final, and then again led every single lap in the main event. The top three got away. Him, Wettengel, and Lemke again. Top three drivers were able to get away. Nobody made a move though.
Really,
it was kind of a really boring race, and everybody was wondering why didn't Wettengel make a move. He never made a move. Just it was almost like he was happy to be Massimino's wingman.
All right.
And Lemke just didn't quite have enough to be able to try and make anything happen. So it was almost like he was just hanging there in the draft to kind of just be there. So again, Massimino first, Wettengel second, and then Lemke in the third position, while Levy actually swapped positions with Ferris to end up fourth on Sunday.
So what happened to Zilic? He's the hard charger again, starts 41st on Saturday, starts 33rd on Sunday. He's the provincial champion or has already won the championship. What happened to put him back to 33rd?
Again, contact, this time with another different driver in his pre-final. This one happened in turn 4 with another local driver, William Robusto. A little bit of contact. Fortunately enough, he was able to continue on and not have to go back into the LCQ. So ended up starting in the 33rd position and again, running lap times just as fast as the leaders. Was able to claw his way up into the 4th position, but a 2-position penalty for the pushback bumper dropped him down to the 6th spot.
So he passed 64 people. In the two races.
That's awesome. It's amazing.
Wow. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of fun, though, I think, too, right? I love starting at the tail of the field and being able to work forward. And listen, for Zilic, he ends up winning the championship by 56 points over Brandon Lemke, Hayden Jones in third, as David said, Levy in fourth, and AJ Myers actually coming home fifth in the championship standings. David, let's go to KA100 Junior, and here's the headline. Dzelski and Walker earn career first as Fletcher claims crown.
Yeah, we've already talked about Fletcher earning a championship previously. Well, Another one came up Sunday afternoon as well. But again, he had a lot of drama surrounding him. Neither of the junior championships were decided until the final lap. So this was certainly one of the categories to watch as we got into Sunday. Yep. Saturday, however, was a bit chaotic. In terms of drivers up front and drivers mid-pack and then drivers in the back, a little bit of contact here and there. Chase Hand ended up setting fast time in qualifying, but it was Fletcher that was able to come away with a pre-final victory. Hand was among those in the front runners in the main event, but he was shuffled back to the 19th position in the opening laps.
Opening corner, right? Corners or something like that?
I think it was like turn 4 or turn 6.
I was listening to that one.
Wow. Then later on, as Fletcher was battling with the leading, was involved in contact with Jake Walker in turn 4. That sent those two drivers up and out of the racing line and further back into the field. This allowed a 3-driver breakaway up front that involves Sebastian Weldon, Austin Jers, and Danny Dzelski.
Okay.
Ended up being Dzelski that was able to better the other 2 drivers. And again, scoring his career first victory and in his Ryan Perry Motorsport debut, earning the victory on Saturday, able to cross the line ahead of Weldon and Jers.
Yeah, Hand, after that issue on the opening lap, 19th back up to P4 in the final standings. Elio Mesa on a Tony Kart capping up the top 5. Adam Brickley, though, David, the hard charger on the Fullerton, started in the 42nd position, moved up 34 31 positions to go to 11th.
Yeah, he was racing the Kart Republic in the X30 Junior category, but racing a Fullerton in the KA100. So a little bit of we'll mention his name again here later on too.
All right, let's do that. On Sunday, Braden Robertson, though, David, getting things underway, fast driver in qualifying.
Yeah, great lap for the Crosslink competition driver. Unfortunately, just wasn't able to secure the win in another wild pre-final that ended up with Danny Dazowski earning the victory. The main event, another wild start with a large lead group, a lot of shuffling taking place, a lot of drivers jostling for position. Unfortunately, contact in turn 8 involving Chase Hand, along with many others, shuffled up the order and put some drivers on the sidelines. This allowed Jeremy Fletcher, Jake Walker, and Cooper Shipman able to break away with a 3-driver lead group. They ended up having a great last 2 laps. It all began in the hairpin with a little bit of contact that kind of bunched them up and shuffled them up. And that continued into the last lap where, again, they went to the hairpin turn 8 with some contact and some blocking and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. That allowed Jake Walker to go from 3rd to 1st with the over-under on both Fletcher and Shipman, and was able to hold on in the final couple of corners and able to cross the line for his first series victory.
Wow, good for Jake Walker on that one. I know Shipman ends up crossing the line in second, but pushback bumper there for him. Same as well for Robertson. David, give us some more input on that. You talked about him being quick in qualifying. What happened to Braden Robertson in the main event there?
Yeah, Shipman with the pushback bumper, dropping him down to 6th with the full 4-position penalty. Robertson, again, pushback bumper, a lot of contact going on throughout the race. He was only a 2-spot position penalty, so that dropped him down to I think it would be 7th after all the penalties were assessed. That move, so Fletcher was able to move up into the 2nd spot, allowed Aiden Rudolph, who was involved in some of that contact early on. He was able to drive back up into the 3rd position. Sebastian Weldon, another good drive. He was actually further back after the pre-final, was able to drive up with a good race up into 4th spot. And then our hard charger of the race, up 35 spots from 40th to 5th, was Adam Brickley.
Yeah, we thought Connor Zilic passed a bunch of people. That's 66 positions for Adam Brickley over 2 days. And
just in that class.
And just in that class.
Because he's got 19 spots in the X30 junior main event on Sunday.
Oh, my God. That's unbelievable. Good for him. All right, so Fletcher, let's just go back to the championship now, David. We mentioned it in the headline as Fletcher wins again. 2 championships for Jeremy Fletcher. Ends up winning by 41 points over Weldon.
Yeah, Weldon had a bad pre-final, ended up I want to say almost outside the top 20, and was able, again, he still had an opportunity to win the championship with the victory, but starting that far back was certainly going to be a tough uphill climb for him. Ended up as we said, finishing in the top 5, so got some valuable points, but with Fletcher finishing 2nd ahead of him, certainly kept him from winning the championship. So only 41 points separating the top 2.
Yeah, Chase Hand in his first national season, finishing in 3rd in the category. Parker DeLong 4th overall, not there that weekend, and Elio Mesa finishing 5th overall in the championship.
Yeah, Parker DeLong actually finished 2nd at the Rock Cup Super Final in the junior category.
Nicely done for Parker. That's awesome. Let's move to X30 Masters, David. Here's your headline. Kopp defends title in tiebreaker as Roberts pulls off double at GoPro. This is what I found this really interesting, reading your race report from Sunday. We'll get to that, of course, on Sunday. But yeah, Kopp defends title in tiebreaker as Roberts pulls off double at GoPro.
Yeah, Scott Roberts among the 4 drivers to actually pull off a double win weekend. Didn't look like it was going to be Roberts, as Alex Mueller, the local driver, was able to set fast time in qualifying, but Roberts emerged as the winner in the pre-final and then just shot away from the rest of the field in the main event, pulling out to a nearly 8-second victory over the field. It was basically a fight for second behind him all race long. That included Mario Barrios. Miguel Mir was actually up into the third position late until he lost his brakes and went off into the turn 6 barriers hard.
Ouch.
Was able to get back in the cart and continue on with no brakes, but really was a disappointing end to Miguel's day. More contact happened behind them with Edward Fortier actually crossing the line in third, but he was penalized for not only avoidable contact, but also blocking.
Oh, all right.
So this moved Frank Runco up into the third spot on the podium. This allowed Scott Kopp to move up into the fourth position, which was very crucial in the championship hunt as he was entering the weekend as the championship leader. And then Robert Mayer ended up finishing in the fifth position.
Hard charger Kim Carapaletti on the comp cart, 8 spots, started 16th. He goes up to 8th. But coming into Sunday, Dave, with a championship on the line, Mario Barrios out of the gate with the top qualifying time.
Yeah, it was about a 5-point swing when you factored in the drops, and then Barrios added 10 more points to that with the bonus points for setting fast time in qualifying. But again, Roberts just super strong all weekend long. Not really sure why he wasn't able to get that qualifying fast time, but certainly showed it when it was in race mode as he was able to drive away to the pre-final win. And then again, just drove away and led wire to wire in the main event to secure a second victory on the weekend and his third on the season.
Wow, amazing for him. Scott Kopp ends up in second, Barrios third, Runco fourth, Connor Hare on the Tony Kart fifth. You can now play the card here, David. I love, as I was reading your race report, I love the way that they break a tie. Because when it comes down to it, Kopp and Barrios tied in points at the end of the day.
Yeah, Kopp actually ended up started second, dropped down to the fourth position, was able to drive himself back up into second.
Crucial.
And as we're looking at the Excel spreadsheet, I'm like, this is a tie. This is a tie. This is going to be a tie, And so, again, those penalties on Saturday helped Kopp gain some points. Mm-hmm. That qualifying bonus helped Barrios gain some points. This ended up as a tie, an actual tie between the two top drivers in the Masters category. Now, as we were doing the race, we thought, as in standard karting terminology in previous years, you go by who has the most wins, and then you go by who has the most runner-ups.
Exactly. That's what I thought too. Yeah.
That's what we thought. And then lo and behold, Allie Long had the rule book right next to her with how to break ties. And she's like, guys, you're not telling this right. And so we ended up looking, and their second tiebreaker ends up being who has the most wins in the heat / pre-finals. So then we had to break out the actual results and the points and see, okay, who has the most heat race wins, or technically pre-final wins.
Yep.
Ended up being Scott Kopp had 2 pre-final wins to Barrios's 1. Thus providing the championship to Scott Kopp.
I like it because it puts more pressure, not pressure. It pushes drivers to potentially win heat races instead of finishing second. You never know when that could be a tiebreaker, right? Guys, I'll just finish second and clean. I'll start on the outside of the front row for the main. I like that.
Well, again, it highlights wins.
It highlights wins. Yeah.
That's kind of, you're always going out on the racetrack to win.
Agreed.
It was unique because, I talked to them after Scott Kopp afterwards. Like, yeah, we knew what the tiebreaker was. And I'm like, oh, well, I didn't. Because, again, we thought it was Barrios that had the championship as we were announcing it because he had more runner-up finishes in the main events than what Scott Kopp had on the season. So that was kind of the talk as we were as the race was progressing. And then we decided, you know what, we're going to let the officials call it, and we'll talk about it after the race.
Makes sense. Yep. Obviously, a great weekend for Scott Roberts. Jumps him up into third in the points. Danny Robertson in fourth, and Miguel Mir in fifth. David, overall, though, let's wrap this up with a hard charger. It was Connor Hare who ends up starting in the 15th spot, drives his way up into fifth, but it sounds like there was a little bit going on in terms of that with some penalties as well.
I I'm not quite sure what I wrote here, but I'm looking at this. I don't know what I wrote here. So we'll just,
all right. Looks like somebody got a pushback bumper penalty. That's fine.
Sure. Yeah.
All right.
I don't know.
We'll take it. Well, folks,
I
one
think
more.
that was supposed to be in the notes. That's
all right. That's all right. No worries. Another break in the action when we get back on this race report presented by Acceleration Kart Racing. David will cap things up as we will give you the breakdown for Mini Swift and Micro Swift. Another great edition of the EKN Debrief here on the EKN Radio Network.
You want the best? You just got to roll with the best. Streeter Superstands. This is Jeff Wessel from StreeterSuperstands.com. You wouldn't put subpar parts on your racing cart, so why put that cherished ride of yours on anything but karting's #1 lifts and stands, Streeter Superstands. Streeter is the original and genuine manufacturer of the second-to-none Bigfoot rolling stands, stackers, uprights, and industry-leading Superlift. We also manufacture and sell the largest and always growing roster of trailer and shop accessories like tire, engine and jug racks, cabinets, spray can trays, bead breakers, and tons more to outfit any size trailer, team, and budget. Streeter Superstands has over 30 continuous years of experience. We're kart racers just like you and know that the Streeter name represents the absolute best in stands, lifts, and accessories for karting enthusiasts worldwide. Durability, affordability, unmatched quality, and customer service, that's what sets us apart from the rest. Check us out now at StreeterSuperstands.com. Roll with the best, StreeterSuperstands.com.
It all started in 1994 when former successful kart driver Albino Parolin decided to move his passion for karting from the track to his small workshop. That's when Parolin was born. Fast forward 20 years and Parolin's passion for the sport led to the company rejoining international competitions as a factory team in WSK and CIK FIA races, with the aim of enhancing the research and development process, immediately achieving notable results around Europe, North America, and Asia, becoming the CIK FIA Asia Pacific KZ champion in the same year. Parolin USA is North America's source for Parolin products, and we run a factory team at all of the major Superkarts USA and Rock Cup USA events. The Parolin chassis lineup for 2021 includes the Invader Shifter, the Le Mans Tag single-speed chassis for junior and senior classes, and the 28mm mini kart for the cadet classes. Parolin has been winning races all over the world, and it's on top of the podium in the USA as well, with drivers like Kai Sorensen, Mateus Orjuela, and Alessandro De Tullio. Get on the chassis that's winning. Drive a Parolin. For more information, head to ParolinUSA.com. Fast, fair, and fun. Ignite Spec Karting offers you all of that at an affordable price. And the all-new IgniteKarting.com website provides you with the information you need to fuel your passion for kart racing. Ignite Karting is a spec kart that features the Margay racing chassis with a Briggs & Stratton 206 engine and a Hoosier R80 tire. Everyone in the junior, senior, and masters classes utilize the same Ignite K3 kart, which puts all the emphasis squarely on the driver. You can race the Ignite package from Margay at the local, regional, and national level. Special events for 2021 include the Ignite Majors, featuring events at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, Quincy Grand Prix, and Newcastle Motorsports Park. Those in the Midwest can enjoy the regional-based Ignite Challenge Series at tracks in Iowa, Missouri, Indiana, and Illinois. Local club programs have been established in Idaho, Texas, Nebraska, New York, Ohio, and Florida. All the information that you're looking for on events throughout the country and on all the Ignite kart packages, including dealers in your area, is available at IgniteKarting.com. Get off the couch and on the track this year. Ignite Karting. Fuel your passion. Welcome back to another edition of the Debrief, our race report podcast. David Cole giving us the deep dive into the event at the USPKS finale at GoPro Motorplex, the Carolina Grand Prix in Mooresville, North Carolina. Almost done here. A couple more categories to wrap things up. We'll jump into Mini Swift. We talked at the very start. We went to buy the numbers. How great the numbers are right now in micro and mini on the USPKS. And the racing itself, tremendous as well. So much good talent. We're going to be talking about these kids for a half a decade or more. Let's go to Mini Swift. Here's your headline. 2 victories for Ardiles as Vidmontien seals the series title.
Yeah, Saturday was the show of Diego Ardiles. Just an amazing performance by him. Actually qualified in the 37th position. I never was able to find out what exactly happened. Possibly, maybe just unable to get a clean lap. Uh, Drove up to the 12th position in the pre-final, so kind of put himself in position to possibly battle for a podium spot or maybe into the top five. As the race went on, it wasn't exactly a calm race. A lot of drivers battling and shuffling up front. So that allowed, our Diego to kind of move up gradually, and by lap 15, actually worked himself up into the lead.
Wow.
And then from there was able to drive off and lead the remainder of the race to basically drive from the back of the field up to the victory as he scored his second victory on the season ahead of Enzo Vidmontien, the championship leader, who essentially locked up the provisional title with his runner-up performance.
Yeah, it's been a good season for Enzo Vidmontien. Good for him to win that title as well. Oliver Weldon coming home in the third spot. Diego Guillat in the fourth position on that Parolin. And Wesley Gunler on the Nitro Kart rounding out the top five. Penalty at the end of that one, though, David. Was it Tyler Roberts was actually P5?
Yeah, Roberts was actually in the fifth position, but avoidable contact penalty, two-position penalty dropped him down to seventh.
Hard charger, Hudson Swartz. Hudson, 22-spot improvement, started 33rd all the way up to 11th in the main event. That's a pretty good run, especially in a mini Swift race.
Yeah, good run for him. I forgot to mention Oliver Weldon was the pre-final winner with Kai Johnson. He actually was the top qualifier, but ran into some issues in the main event, so wasn't able to keep himself in the top five.
Well, Weldon's definitely going to come back to play with it. He's part of the battle in the final. Coming out on Sunday, David, Oscar Iliff scoring the qualifying top time, and then would go on, I guess, to win the pre-final as well.
Yeah, he actually was unable to make the main event on Saturday. Was scheduled to start in the fifth position, but a spark plug issue on the pace lap put him on the sideline before the green flag even waved. So Iliff had a little bit of momentum and redemption on his mind, along with brother Jack Iliff, who broke his wrist on Friday night and was unable to race. So he was carrying the Iliff banner all weekend long with Jack on the sidelines with the broken wrist after Friday night fun. But the main event, Iliff led the opening 18 laps, and kind of like Diego did on Saturday, this time it was Enzo Vidmontien that was moving up. He started 14th after the pre-final, was moving himself up. He got up into the second position towards the end of the race, and that's when kind of the chaos began with 2 laps to go. Drivers going side by side, over unders and all this good stuff that the drivers were able to do. Weldon was actually able to come away with the lead as they took the white flag, but then it was Diego that ended up securing the lead in the final few corners and was able to reach the checkered flag to end up with a double win weekend for him.
Wow, a couple of victories for Diego Ardiles. Well done for him. Oliver Weldon ends up in second, Vidmontien in third, Iliff in fourth, and Vivek Canthan running now with Parolin into the top five. David, hard charger James Newell on a Kart Republic up 20 spots, started 34th, ends up 14th.
Yeah, a lot of local drivers, GoPro regulars that were able to pull off the hard chargers on the weekend, and James Newell was one of them. Overall, a pretty good performance by Vivek Canthan in his Parolin debut. Was among those in the front pack on Saturday, but was able to secure a good finish with fifth on Sunday.
Good for him. Vidmontien winning the championship, as David had said, securing that on Saturday. Ends up being a 188-point advantage over Diego Ardiles, who, of course, used his weekend performance to jump ahead of Weldon in the championship. Iliff ends up in fourth, and Kai Johnson in fifth. David, one more category to go, and we've talked about this young man throughout the season from the very get-go. Very impressive young micro driver, and he kind of dominates the action this weekend. Here it is. Harvick takes title with double win finale.
Saturday was all Harvick as he was able to go wire to wire on the day, unchallenged throughout qualifying, pre-final, and final, earning maximum points on the day to solidify himself as the provisional champion. in the category. Lucas Palacio was able to kind of get close Saturday towards the end of the race, but just ran out of time, ended up finishing in the second position. Ethan Tovo aboard the Nitro Kart rounded out the podium with Alessandro Truchot aboard the Paralympic in fourth, and Gianmatteo Rousseau on the Nitro Kart in fifth.
Hard charger Benya Fernandez on the Kart Republic, 10 spots, started 20th, ends up in 10th.
Yeah, and as I said, Harvick locked up the title on Saturday, so that kind of opened things up on Sunday for these youngsters. But it was kind of the same story, but a little bit of pressure this time. Harvick was able to set fast time in qualifying, but was challenged throughout the pre-final. Actually ended up winning the race, but was penalized for avoidable contact.
Right.
That allowed Gianmatteo Rousseau to earn the pre-final and the pole position for the main event. A lot of shuffling took place early on between the top three in the main event, including Harvick, Tovo, and Palacio. Harvick was eventually secured the top spot and was able to hold on in a drag race to the checkered flag, holding off Ethan Tovo by 87 thousandths of a second.
Drag race for sure. Wow.
Yeah, drag race for sure. That earned his second victory on the weekend. I was going to double check to see how many won on the year. I want to say it was 3.
Okay.
4 victories on the year.
So Tovo coming home in second, and a close second, as you said. Palacio was right there in third. Gianmatteo Rousseau in fourth. And Bronson Custas on the Paralympic works his way up into the top 5. Hard charger David Max Weiland on the Magic Kart up 6 spots. Started 14th, able to work his way up into the top 10 to finish in 8th.
Yeah, and as I said, Harvick secured the championship on Sunday, ended up being a 279-point advantage over Ethan Tovo. Augustus Toniolo was not present. He came in as the championship leader, having 3 wins on the season, was not present. Still over in Europe, or possibly went back home to Brazil. Not quite sure where he ended up. We did not get confirmation from him at all. He ends up finishing third in the championship with Alessandro Truchot in fourth and Gianmatteo Rousseau in fifth spot.
All right, folks, final break in this edition of the Debrief. When we get back, David will wrap things up. We'll have a look at the Constructors' Championship, and we'll let you know where we are for the remainder of the season on the EKN Trackside Live race calendar.
Located in Mooresville, North Carolina, on-site at GoPro Motorplex, Kart Sport North America features over 6,000 square feet of retail space. Along with being the official race team and distributor for the Kart Republic chassis, they offer full retail sales, kart service and storage, and products from the top brands in the sport, such as CZ Chain, Talon Sprockets, SKF Bearings, and Prisma Tire Gauges. If you want to take your racing to the next level, they also offer driver training and coaching programs available trackside at GoPro Motorplex. They have a massive inventory, so head to their online store at kartsportna.com to get same-day shipping of the parts and components that you need. While you're there, check out their used section of karts, engines, parts, and accessories. Kart Sport North America. Top quality products, winning brands, and professional driver development services.
Powered by technology, DID racing chains have a worldwide reputation for superior quality and reliability. Meticulously engineered and manufactured in Japan, DID genuine parts are the world's #1 original parts supplier for Japanese and European motorcycle manufacturers. A rich racing tradition where results speak for themselves, DID prides itself on engineering the most technologically advanced chains on the market to help you excel on and off the track. DID's SDH pin treatment creates an extremely hard chromium carbide layer on the pin surface that houses a soft inner core to absorb extreme shock loads. DID's 219 HTZ racing chain boasts this SDH pin technology, which leads to longer chain life as well as excellent energy transmission to the wheels. Available in the gorgeous gold, the 219 HTZ is the ultimate racing kart chain. Pick up a DID chain at your local dealer today, because when winning is the only thing that matters, go with DID. You can buy all the latest and greatest products on the market. But when you're karting to win, it boils down to one thing: you, the driver. Gain the knowledge and abilities by investing in yourself at the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy, and you'll find those extra tenths of a second you need to put yourself on the podium. The school was established by SuperKarts USA Hall of Fame driver Alan Rudolph, with decades of victories and championships in multiple forms of the sport, including other disciplines of racing. The Alan Rudolph Racing Academy, located at the Speed Sports Racing Park in the metropolitan Houston area, is designed to teach driving skills at all levels. The instructors of the Academy have decades of racing experience and educating drivers of all ages. Classes at the Academy will teach the concepts and skills needed both behind the wheel and off the track. From the beginning kart racing experience and intro to karting courses, to their advanced 1-day and 2-day courses and karting clinics, the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy can improve the skills of any driver. For more information on the specific programs that the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy can provide for you, head to speedsports.com and click on the Racing Academy page. Be sure to follow the Academy on social media by searching for Alan Rudolph Racing Academy. Welcome back to our final segment of this edition of the EKN Debrief. Rob Howden and David Cole here in the EKN studios. David, let's wrap things up. We said from the very get-go, it's been a tremendous season for the United States Pro Kart Series, their third largest event in the 9-year history of the series, the Carolina Grand Prix.
Yeah, just a phenomenal year overall. The largest year they've had with, over 250 average per event, wrapping up with the third largest ever at the for the series at GoPro Motorplex this past weekend. Big numbers. And we talk about over $1,400 handed out over the weekend at X30 Pro and X30 Junior for their cash purses, plus 6 sets of MG tires, and then nearly $70,000 in prizes for the championship purse. That included IAME International Final tickets, USPKS Winner's Circle program, USPKS entries for 2022, along with IAME engines, more MG tires, and of course, a little bit of extra cash for other drivers as well.
Extra cash. You said $1,400. You meant $14,000 on the weekend.
Yes.
And then $70,000 in the championship purse. Absolutely amazing. One of the things we talked about going in as well, David, was the battle for the Geo Cup, which is the team championship of the USPKS program. How did that end up shaking down?
Well, Rollison Performance Group really stood out at the finale, and all season long was able to secure that team championship, that includes counting the top 3 finishers in each category for each round throughout the season. And we'll have a little bit of a breakdown on that. But congratulations to Mike Rollison and the entire Rollison Performance Group on winning this year's Geo Cup.
Yeah, it's impressive. David, let's look at the Constructors' Championship. Looks like 6 different brand names getting race wins.
Four actually. I did a little something funny on the script here. So we have 4 different brands winning victories on the weekend. Cosmic earning 6 victories, Tony Kart with 4, Red Speed with 2, and then Nitro Kart with 2. And then we look at the championships. We have 1 championship for Cosmic in the X30 Pro with Ryan Norberg.
Oh, I see what you're doing there.
Tony Kart earning 3 championships. KA100 Senior with Connor Zillage. Jeremy Fletcher earning both junior championships aboard the Tony Kart in X30 Junior and KA100 Junior. Keelan Harvick earning the Micro Swift title aboard the Nitro Kart. Enzo Vidmontien on the Bennett. And then Scott Kopp with the X-Spree with Team FMS in X30 Masters.
So 6 brands in total getting the titles and race wins. That's pretty solid. Good weekend. I like it. Yeah. Your thoughts on that? Obviously, OTK pretty strong on the USPKS program.
Well, I think this weekend is where they really stood out. Throughout much of the year, it was probably anywhere between 6 to 8 different brands were winning. But yeah, OTK certainly shined throughout the weekend at GoPro.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, let's wrap things up with a look at the EKN Trackside Live race calendar presented by OTK USA. Here's the line. All over the karting world, everyone knows OTK is the gold standard for quality and performance. In the U.S., OTK USA is the source for all things OTK. From the legendary Tony Kart brand to the race-winning Cosmic and Esprit chassis, and now the new Red Speed and EOS brands, OTK quality is second to none. To learn more about a specific product line or to find the OTK USA dealer near you, whether it's Tony Kart, Cosmic, Esprit, Red Speed, or EOS, visit www.otkusa.com. All right, David, normally in our Trackside Live race calendar, we're giving, the couple next 2 or 3 events. To cap off 2021, only one more race to go. December 1st to the 5th, you and I head back to Las Vegas. It's been a year off, but it'll be great to get back to the Rio for the SuperKart USA Super Nationals.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk this past weekend. Hey, what have you heard anything on entry list? What's the word? Who's going to be there? I think a lot of people are really gearing up for this event. We've seen the schedule already finalized. We got multiple categories opened up to the 88 drivers.
Yep.
We'll have the 2 shifter categories that certainly should be exciting. It's as we get closer to December, we'll probably start getting more involved with the entry list and start getting our previews ready. Of course, we'll probably be doing some outlap podcasts, possibly 1, 2, maybe 3. Well, that's still up in the air. We'll see what
there's more content to happen for sure. I think it's gonna be big, right?
It's exciting. And then we'll hopefully come back with our live debriefs each night at the bar, depending on what the mask rules are going to be, because it'll be a little bit harder to do that with masks. So we might have to do it trackside. That's going to be something we'll have to look at.
We'll need a heater if we're doing that.
If we're doing trackside, yeah.
Oh
we'll
my God,
we'll have to get a heater. I mean, even though we're both from the northern hemisphere, it does get a little cold.
It gets a little chilly in the desert of Las Vegas. Well, folks, that will be our last race of the year for the EKN Trackside Live program for 2021. Obviously, lining up things up for next year already. Starting in January, of course, we'll have the SuperKart USA Winter Series, the Challenge of the Americas, and then we get right back into it. Looking forward to it. But David, with one more race to go, it's been a great one. How about just your final words on covering the entire USPKS this year? With record numbers, it was obviously so much excitement, so much great competition throughout the entire season.
Yeah, I mean, that pretty much sums it up. Just the amount of numbers that we had throughout the season certainly showed that, the program that Mark Coates and all his team have been able to put together are one that people want to go to, one that people want to race at. The racing was phenomenal all season long. Aside from some of the aggression we saw this past weekend, overall it was safe, it was fun, it was clean. Lots to build on still. With the move to Orlando Kart Center, so we'll see how that moves. And of course, the second event's still up in the air. We're not sure yet. We have some leads, we have some ideas of where they're going. But it could possibly be another new racetrack as well, too. So lots of new and exciting things coming up for the USPKS in 2022.
And hey, that's less than 5 months away. March 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th at Orlando Karting Center, the opening round of 2022. We'll see whether or not the USPKS can go even higher, set even bigger numbers, because where they are right now, a really solid sweet spot, a really good place for USPKS. Kudos to Mark Coates and everybody a part of that program, Tim Coy and everybody that makes that series what it is. It really has provided a strong foundation of national level racing on the East Coast of the United States. Big thank you to them as well for allowing EKN to be there with our Trackside Live program. I know David loves being there. Big thank you to Tim Coyne and, of course, Xander Clemens this past weekend for being on the mic and being part of the EKN radio network. We appreciate it. We love being part of the action and look forward to doing it again in 2022. Folks, that's it for the final debrief of this year's USPKS program. On behalf of David Cole, my name's Rob Howden. Bye for now.